Hello, Catechism parents. This is Pastor Strey at Crown of Life. As I make this video, it's Tuesday, the 25th of August. We're in our second week of school. And I'm making this video for you to introduce you to the plans that we have in our 7th and 8th grade Catechism class this year. As I talked about on Back to School Night, my hope is that for most catechism classes that we have, I'll make a short video. It'll be shorter than the video that I'm making right now. Make a short video of 1 to 2 minutes long, just informing you on what we're doing in catechism class so that you can take the subject matter that we talked about in class and find a way perhaps to talk about it with your children, or you can ask them, hey, what you talk about today? I heard you were discussing this. What did you learn today? To find a way to make the Bible truths that we're learning in catechism class a part of your family, your conversation, so that it's not just an academic subject, but it's part of family life and part of their faith life. Just to keep you up to date on where we are so far, we've had 2 class sessions. We meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays normally. There will be changes to that when I have conflicts, and some of those conflicts will be coming up pretty early in the school year. But generally, it's catechism class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we had our first class last week, Thursday. We didn't have a class on the first day of school. So last week, Thursday, was our first catechism class, and I just introduced the kids to what to expect for the year. They had to make sure that they have a copy of Luther's Catechism. They had to make sure that they have a New International Version translation of the Bible, the 2011 copyrighted edition of the NIV, and of course a binder to keep all the pages that I'll be handing out. Those are the 3 things that they needed. I also talked to them about how to do memory work. So if you ask your kids to show you their catechism binder, there should be a page in there that gives them tips and that you can take a look at also for them memorizing when they have to memorize Bible verses or sections of the catechism. I gave them some tips on how they could do that more effectively. So you can look for those things. That was day 1. It wasn't an actual class, it was more of an introduction. Today, the 25th, on Tuesday, was our first class, and it was unlike the rest of the classes we will have this year because it was actually kind of a crash course Martin Luther history lesson. We talked about Luther and the state of the affairs in the Christian church at Luther's day, and why Luther began what we call the Lutheran Reformation, and why he wrote the Catechism. Again, your kids have this catechism textbook. What Luther wrote, the small catechism, is pages 1 to 19 in this catechism. This whole thing is not Luther's catechism, just the opening pages, pages 1 to 19. Everything else in the rest of the catechism is an explanation demonstrating that what Luther wrote was in line with Scripture. So in the rest of the catechism, there are primarily questions, followed by Bible verses that answer the question, followed by the answer summarized. So that's what's in that book, and that's what your kids will be working with. So we had our Luther history lesson today on Tuesday. Their assignment was a simple true-false worksheet with about 15 questions on it, and that's due on Thursday. But starting Thursday this week, which will be the 27th, that's when we start to have regular type of catechism lessons where we will be considering a topic and looking up Bible verses to answer the questions that we have about that topic. And then they'll always come home with an assignment, which is usually going to be a simple worksheet, 1 page, either single-sided or double-sided, and then some simple facts to remember from the lesson, and maybe a Bible verse or 2 or a section of the catechism to memorize, and then that they'll have a quiz on. So something to alert you to is that at the start of the year, starting this week on a Thursday, I'm going to have them memorize the books of the Bible in order. So this Thursday, the 27th, their assignment will include memorizing the books of the New Testament in order, all 27 books. And then next week, their assignment on Tuesday will be to memorize the first half of the Old Testament. And then they'll do that on Thursday. And then their assignment next week, Thursday, will be to memorize the second half of the books of the Old Testament, which will be due the following class period. So I gave the kids tips on how to do that. You should be aware of that. Don't be afraid to ask your kids if they need help with that, or if they want to try to recite it to you to see if they've got those Bible books down. But it'd be good for them to start working on that. Some of these kids have already had this work, especially they've been in school for a while. They've already memorized the Bible book, so it might be easy for them. For others, this might be new. There is a page that I handed out to them on the first day which lists the books in order. and you'll obviously be able to find them in the front of any Bible as well. So there's a couple different places they can go to find that content. So that's what you can expect. That's what they have as of today's lesson. But they're regular catechism lessons, normally going through different Bible subjects and topics and verses, and regular assignments will start this week on Thursday. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help out. I look forward to making these videos and uploading these videos. And again, just hopefully the goal is to make what we're learning not just head knowledge, but it's a little bit a part of their regular everyday life, their family life. It's part of your conversation at home, perhaps. But we're just trying to make sure that catechism class is not just an academic thing, but it's something that touches both the head and the heart. And your part in helping us to do that will be great. And so I hope the videos that follow this one will help you do that and to help keep in touch with what your kids are learning as far as their faith is concerned and catechism class at Crown of Life. Thanks for your time and have a great rest of your day.